If there was a pill that could grant you eternal life, a life free from sickness and old age, would you take it? This isn't some far-fetched question. It's the dream that has haunted humanity since the dawn of time, from emperors like Qin Shi Huang searching for the elixir of life, to legends of the Fountain of Youth, and to today's tech billionaires investing billions to hack and reverse the aging process. The dream of immortality seems to be hardwired into our DNA, our ultimate and most powerful rebellion against our greatest enemy, death. But let's pause for a moment. Let's really think about this. What if the thing we desire most, the ultimate prize we're so busy searching for, isn't actually a paradise, but a perfectly disguised hell? Is eternal life truly a blessing, or is it a curse? A life sentence in a prison without bars, where time itself is the most ruthless warden. Today, we're going on an imaginary journey into the realm of immortality to see if it's as desirable as we think. First, we have to be fair and acknowledge its undeniable appeal. Just imagine the gifts that immortality could bring. First, there's the gift of endless time to learn and experience. Our finite lives are too short. We only have enough time to learn a few trades, to master a few languages, to travel to a few corners of the world. But if you had infinite time, you could become a master of every field. You could spend a century learning to play the piano like Mozart, another century to paint like Leonardo da Vinci. You could spend 1,000 years studying astrophysics, then another 1,000 exploring the mysteries of the ocean. All of human knowledge would become your personal library, and you'd have enough time to read every single book in it. You could witness the rise and fall of civilizations, not through books, but with your own eyes. You could see humanity set foot on Mars, and perhaps even distant galaxies. You would become a living historian, a walking repository of the universe's knowledge. On top of that, immortality also offers freedom from our greatest fear, the primal fear that has shaped all of our religions, philosophies, and art, the fear of our own end. You'd no longer have to worry about sickness or old age. You'd no longer feel the pressure of a ticking clock. You could live at a relaxed pace without rushing, because your tomorrow isn't a possibility, but a certainty. You would have all the time in the world to fix every mistake, to start over as many times as you'd like. That seems like absolute freedom, an escape from the burden of being human. That's the heavenly picture, a beautiful, alluring picture. But now, we have to be brave enough to flip the coin, to look at its dark side, a side perhaps deeper and more terrifying than death itself. The first and most terrible pain of immortality is endless loneliness and loss. Imagine you are a solid rock on the bank of a river. You are there, unchanging and eternal. But the river of time flows ceaselessly, and it will sweep away everything you love. You will meet and fall in love with someone, build a life with them, but then you'll have to watch their hair turn gray, their skin wrinkle, and finally, you'll have to hold their cold hand for the last goodbye. That pain is horrific enough, but for you, it won't just happen once. You will live on, meeting your children and your grandchildren. You will love them, play with them, but then you will also have to watch them turn to dust. Then, their great-grandchildren and their great-great-grandchildren. That loop will never end. With every passing generation, your heart will gain another scar. After a few centuries, what kind of person would you become? Sadness would no longer be a fleeting guest, but a constant companion, a gray fog covering every landscape, dulling all the colors of joy. To protect yourself from that unbearable pain, you might have to stop loving. You wouldn't dare open your heart again. You would become a cold observer, a lonely island in the ocean of humanity, watching the waves of generations crash against you and then recede. Immortality, in the end, might rob you of the very thing that makes life worth living. love, and connection. And then there's a prison even more terrifying than loneliness, the prison of memory itself. An immortal brain would be an endless archive. It wouldn't just store the beautiful memories, the smiles, the moments of happiness. It would store everything. Every foolish mistake you ever made, every stupid word you ever uttered, every shameful act you ever did, every face of someone you've hurt, every tragedy, every war, every famine, every crime you've witnessed over thousands of years. You can't forget. Those memories would become ghosts, haunting you in your sleep, tormenting you in every quiet moment. Your brain would become a museum of regret. After tens of thousands of years, the weight of memory would become unbearable, crushing your mind to dust. But even if you could overcome the pain of loss and the burden of memory, you'd face an even more subtle enemy: boredom and meaninglessness. The value of many things in life comes from their finiteness. The best meal is when you're hungry. The most passionate love is often your first love. A great achievement is greatest when you've poured your sweat and tears into reaching it within a limited time. But if you had infinite time, what would happen? You've eaten the world's best dishes millions of times. You've visited every landmark tens of thousands of times. You've read every book, seen every movie. Could joy still exist? Would novelty still have meaning? Could love still be passionate when you know you have an infinity of other loves ahead, and that every relationship will eventually end in separation? Immortality would strip away life's urgency. Why bother doing something today when you have all of eternity to do it tomorrow? Motivation would fade. Passion would cool. Life, instead of being an exciting adventure, would become a vast, empty desert of repetition. You would no longer be living, but merely existing, like a machine, drifting in an endless ocean of boredom. Finally, immortality could imprison you in your own self. We humans grow through change, through interacting with an ever-evolving world. But an immortal person, after a few thousand years, might become rigid. Your views and values, formed in an era long past, would become obsolete and out of touch in a new world with completely different norms. You'd look at the younger generations and be unable to understand their language, their music, or their way of thinking. You'd become a living relic, a walking fossil, trapped in your own past, unable to connect, and forever feeling like a stranger in a world you once called home. So, where do we stand after looking at both the heaven and hell of immortality? Perhaps the problem isn't the length of life, but its quality. Perhaps it is death, our very finiteness, that gives life meaning, beauty, and urgency. It forces us to love more deeply, live more fully, and cherish every precious moment we have. The Christian perspective offers a very interesting distinction. It doesn't promise immortality, that is, the endless extension of this kind of life. Instead, it promises eternal life, a transformation into a completely different kind of life. It's not an immortal caterpillar, but the caterpillar's metamorphosis into a butterfly, a life in another dimension, where there are no more tears, no more sorrow, no more loss or boredom, because it is a life eternally connected to the source of all life, joy, and meaning, God Himself. Perhaps, deep down, we don't really crave to live forever in this body and this world. What we truly crave is a meaningful life, free from fear and filled with love. And perhaps the path to that isn't to cling desperately to this life, but to live this finite life so fully and lovingly that we are ready for the greater transformation on the other side. What do you think? If you had the chance, would you choose immortality in this world? Or do you believe that finiteness is what gives life its value? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for joining me on this thought-provoking journey. See you next time.